And welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus from InfoSec Governance, and in today's video we're going to be talking about backups and recovery. Now, if you hadn't thought about backups, or you haven't tested any backups in recent times, or most specifically you haven't thought about disaster recovery, then hopefully this video is going to be one for you. Hopefully it's going to give you a bit of food for thought, and yeah, you can put things in place if you haven't already. Now, with working from home becoming ever more the norm, you should be dedicating a lot more time and resource and also money to actually help you protect these systems all the time. Okay. So what actually makes up a disaster recovery solution? Well, you can break it down into two main areas, which are backup and recovery. Now, yes, disaster recovery does have a lot more areas than just these two areas, but for this video we're just going to concentrate on these two, and in future videos we might actually spread it out a little bit more and delve into those a bit more. So backups are what you need to do to recover any type of information. So for example, if anyone deletes a file, email, pictures, anything like that, then you need to back it up. Okay. However, backing up is not just a simple case of copying some files to a USB drive or just copying it onto some other drive. If you do that, yeah, that's fair enough. You've got a limited sort of thing, but what happens if that file or that drive gets lost? What happens if it's in the area that's in a building that gets blown up? Well, not blown up, but recovered or anything like that. You've got to think about these things, okay? However, it's not just a simple case of copying some files to a USB drive and job's done. You actually need to think about how much data you want to recover, where it's going to be located, and how long it's going to actually take to actually recover that file so you're actually back into a working place. Now, this is where recovery time objective, or RTO, and recovery point objective, RPO, come into play for your business. RTO is the amount of time you're willing to accept to recover from an incident. This is going to be a metric that helps you identify how quickly you need to recover your systems from an incident. So what kind of this means is basically how long is your business going to survive before it's been too late, before it's gone too far and you can't actually recover. So for example, if your RTO is 24 hours and you've identified that your business can survive without systems being fully available for 24 hours, then that's where you are for business norms. Now RPO is a different type of thing. RPO is a recovery point objective. Now this is the point where you're willing to accept to recover from, which basically means how much time can you tolerate between your last backup and the incident recurring. So with RPO, most businesses will have a fixed time for a backup. So this could be 1 hour, 1 day, or longer or more, depends upon how your business is. So for example, if you backed up your data every day, say at 12 PM, and you had an incident where your systems went down, someone deleted files at 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that, then you'd lose all that data between 12 PM the previous day to 9 o'clock in the morning from when the incident happened. Now, the shorter the RTO and RPO, the more expensive it's going to get. So to keep this, bear this in mind. The quicker you want to recover from something and recover from something like that, it's going to get more expensive. There's just two ways with that. So you're going to have to actually look at a meaningful solution where your RTO and your RPO is in a reasonable place, that you're not spending too much money month in, month out, but you can actually recover and you're not impacting your systems too much like that. Now, in a past life, I used to work as a system administrator for my sins, and this used to be pretty much involved building and looking after infrastructure and systems and things like that of all shapes and sizes. And from my experience, backups is one of those areas that people do really, really well, or they do really, really bad. Now, as a matter of best practice and hygiene, you should always ensure that your systems are always backed up frequently, as well as also checking that they've been backed up correctly. Don't just think about the local systems and files, also look at your cloud vendors. Look at your cloud-based applications and systems like that. Do they back them up? Where do they back them up? How long does it take to recover? How long does it take you can you back them up yourselves? Can you export all that data and put it into your own systems? If you haven't looked at this, have a think, maybe even ask your cloud vendor and see from there. Now, if you don't actually have an IT provider, you should also ensure that any information that is stored locally within the office is at least backed up. Stick it on an external drive, stick it on some cloud vendor yourself, back it all up, make sure it's outside the premises, because last thing you want to do is back up all the information. You have an incident in your building, maybe due to flooding or anything like that, and then you can't actually get the data, or the data's all been lost and destroyed. It defeats the object. So ideally, copy the data. If you're going to put it on external drives, you're going to stick it on network attached storage or anything like that. Try and copy it off to a different area, even if that means taking it up, copying it, and taking it to another location. And with that, you also need to think about different versions. So yes, you might be copying the data onto one drive, But what happens if you've only got 1 day or 1 week's worth of backups? What happens if you delete something from 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, or even 2 or 3, 4 months ago, and that file is really, really important? You know, maybe it's government stuff, HMRC, anything like that that's actually needed. Could you recover from that? So you actually have to look at file versions, recovering, how long you're going to actually keep the data, where you're going to store it from, and things like that. Okay. Now, an example of a cloud-based system, for example, Office 365, or more recently known as Microsoft 365. Did you know that it doesn't actually back up your data? You may have thought that as it being a cloud-based service, it does back your data up, but if you look in the terms and conditions, it actually states that they don't actually back the data up. Now, in reality, it's going to be fairly slim that you're going to lose everything within this environment, but you also have to think about what happens if someone deletes a load of files that you actually need and you need to recover. Now, so you need to think about that, look at that, plan it, and go from there. Now, yes, there are several products available that you can do that do all this. A lot of them come from managed service providers or other systems. So, for example, you've got Sidekick, Acronis, SolarWinds, Veeam, all these sort of things like this, which I'll put a link in below this video and go from there. Now, a video wouldn't be complete, a backup video wouldn't be complete without us recover. Blech. Now, a video about backups wouldn't be complete if we didn't actually talk about restorations. Restorations is what needs to be done, and in my experience, it always seems to be the one that's always forgotten about. People always concentrate on backups, and they're saying, yeah, it's getting backed up, back it up, back it up, back it up. But when was the last time they actually tried to recover a backup? Normally, if someone does try and recover a backup, they find out that something doesn't actually work, or the file's not there, or it hasn't been backing up the stuff that they want. So, from experience, yes, you back it up. Also try and test a recovery. Try a recovery maybe once a week, once a month. You know, I wouldn't say any longer than once a month, because you know what happens if it's 1 month, 1 day, you got to recover something and it's not there. So just go and have a look, try and recover it, make sure it works. You know, don't even think about local systems like that. What happens about your cloud-based systems? What happens if your financial cloud-based application goes down, crashes? Can you recover from that? What you do, and go from there. If you have got issues with any restorations or anything like that, identify them, get them fixed straight away, and then retest to make sure it all works fine. So that was a quick video all about backups and recovery. Hopefully that's given you some ideas and got the old brain juices flowing. Hope you liked the video. If you did, as always, you know, like, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any comments or suggestions, do you back up, do you test your restorations or anything like that? You know, put a comment in below the video and I'll see you on the next one.